morning, everyone.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
So we're here this morning to have a look at teamwork and helping those that are just new in startups. And Greg's going to introduce us and tell you what we're planning to talk about today.
Sorry, I missed that cue because I'm in landscape mode and something didn't pop up. Nonetheless, Anne, thank you for rescuing me. Hi, my name's Greg Twemlow. I'm the founder of a not-for-profit called 7-Mile Venture Lab, which is based on Sydney's northern beaches. I'm here today with Anne McKeown. Hi, Anne.
Morning.
And Therese Ravell.
Hi.
Lovely to have you with us. And first off, I just want to say a big congratulations to Spark Festival. Maxine, Sharon and her team are doing the most incredible job. They always do, but this year in particular, switching to completely virtual. Well done, Maxine. Fantastic job. And thank you for giving us this opportunity to talk about how entrepreneurs can ensure they're set up for success. I think next year on a shorter title, Anne and Therese. I think something a little more be good. So let me please firstly introduce Anne and Therese. I just want to say kind of the context for this is, per the title, Entrepreneurs Set Up for Success. To us, Anne and Therese, and to me, you know, it's all about the team you bring around you, how you kind of get yourself mentally in shape for this startup journey that you're on. The big thing is you can't do it on your own. You really can't. You've got to have ways to bring people on this journey, to build a team around you. And that comes back to your vision, your mission, your sort of mental attitude, how you go about looking for people, making the decision to bring them along, and then all of the issues around what that means in terms of adding new people into your team. It's no longer just you. So let me firstly introduce Anne McKeown. Anne is a respected master coach and trainer, and she empowers individuals and teams to turbocharge the results in their life and business so they can enjoy more success every day. Anne's proven process for success empowers you to take full control of your life and business by shifting the psychological barriers holding you back. Anne incorporates NLP techniques when coaching individuals and teams because she knows it's not enough to tell people what to do. It's essential to show them how to do it. Anne is also a published author and the founder of Sydney Women's Self-Empowerment Meetup, which has over 500 members. You should all join, get involved there. Over to you, Anne.
Thank you, Greg. Thanks for the lovely introduction and good morning. And yeah, Spark Festival, what a great opportunity. I wish I'd known about it when I was starting up, because I think one of the hardest things is to be a solopreneur, a solo business owner. And as Greg said, having a team around you and having support is vital. One of the things that I also think is really vital is to have a vision around what does that team look like? What does your business look like? What does the future look like? Because if you haven't got a vision, then your mind doesn't know where it's going. If you imagine that you want to go on holiday, one of the first things that you'll do is you'll either go into a travel agent and pick up an old glossy magazine and look at pictures of the beach, or you'll go online and you'll start to research and you'll look at hotels and you'll look at comparisons and quotes and testimonials. And what that's doing is it's creating a picture in your mind of where you want to go. You're not just going to buy a flight ticket and end up on a destination on a holiday without having really thought through what it looks like, what it feels like, what you're going to do when you're there. You have a bit of a plan. And it's the same with your business. Often we think, oh, well, I'll just get through this week. I'll just be putting out fires and then I'll see where I end up. But without a vision, you end up a bit like a boat without a rudder. You're just you're floating in the waves in the water, and you can end up anywhere. So I'd like to encourage you today to really think about where are you heading, and then why are you going there? What is it about this business that fills you with passion, that will drive you when days get difficult? And there will be days. We all have that up and down journey. Nobody's journey is smooth. And when other business owners tell you how well they're doing, say to them, how long did it take you to get there? Because I used to follow other people's successes and feel like a failure myself, because when I compared myself, which is not a good thing to do, I would feel that they were so much further ahead. They were making more money. They had a bigger team. They were more successful. Their platforms on Facebook looked better than mine. But really, the bottom line is not to compare yourself with anyone, but to be running your own race and to just be aware of where am I heading and how am I going to get there. So in the how am I going to get there, one of the things that I like to share with clients is around the difference between the conscious and the unconscious mind. We run our life by our unconscious mind most of the time. So have you ever driven somewhere and thought, oh, how did I end up here? That's because you were on automatic pilot. That doesn't just apply to driving. We do that with a lot in our life. We mindlessly eat things that are not good for us. We mindlessly talk gossip sometimes. We mindlessly get on the computer and scroll and spend ages on social media that's not really helping us build our business. One tip, use social media to build your business, not to waste your time. Use it as a marketing platform. Don't use it as somewhere to look at other people's stuff. And so I want you today to think about using the conscious and the unconscious mind when it comes to setting your goals and creating your vision. Now, most of you have probably heard of SMART goals. SMART goals talk to the conscious mind, which likes processes, it likes order, it likes to know what's coming next. And it's your goal setter. And without setting goals, again, it's like your vision, without telling your mind where you want it to take you, it won't know where it's going to take you and you'll flounder. So you've all heard of SMART goals. The S is for specific, so make your goal really specific. The M is for measured, because remember, the conscious mind likes to know that, are we on track and are we a winner and can we measure this? The A is for, is it achievable? So if you're going to say, well, I'm going to go to the moon next week and, put my flag in with my logo on it on the moon, is that achievable? And the R is for realistic, is that even realistic? And the the T is for timed. So give yourself a time. But I actually am not a really logical type of person. I'm probably more a kind of come from a feelings, emotional type of person. So I used to sit and look at SMART goals and think, just didn't motivate me. I was like, I don't know how to move forward with this. I don't know how to be that specific because I've not got it clear in my head yet. And how will I measure it? And maybe it's not achievable. And it would actually send me down a rabbit hole and timed. Oh, well, if I would give myself ages and then there was no pressure to achieve it. But then if I gave myself a short period of time, it would send me in a stressful spiral. So one day I was daydreaming, I suppose, and I saw the word SMART backwards. And if you read it backwards, it reads trams. And that created this idea in my mind of me being in a tram. And I'm thinking, am I in the driver's seat or am I sitting up the back expecting someone else to take me where I want my business to go? Where am I heading? Do I have a timetable? Do I have a map and a plan? How many stops am I going to have on the way? Who's on the tram with me? Who's on the journey with me? When when the going gets tough and I'm going up the hill, am I going to want to jump off because it's all too hard? Or am I going to hold on till I get to the top of the hill and see that vision on the other side and freewheel down to enjoy what I'm working towards? And so this whole analogy of it being a journey just suddenly opened up for me and I was able to see a picture, it became clear. And so to help clients of mine that have the same way of wanting to unleash that unconscious power that can be very helpful, which I actually see as your goal getter. Remember, the conscious mind is the goal setter. Well, you can set goals till kingdom come, but if you don't know how to go and get those goals, then it's of no benefit. So what I did was I put my own words to the trams analogy with the back of SMART. And the T is for towards, because you want to be going towards your goal. And you might say, well, Anne, that's, common sense. Of course, we want to go towards our goal. But you may also have heard the expression 2 steps forward, 1 step back, because our conscious mind wants us to go forward, but often the unconscious wants to keep us safe. And so it's like, oh no, don't do that, because you might fail, you might not manage, people might talk about you, and so we hold ourselves back. But we've got to go towards what it is we want every day, one small step, because we can either go towards or away from. And often we make away from goals, we make negative goals. So for example, somebody wants to lose weight. A towards goal is, I want to be fit and healthy and slim. An away from goal or a negative goal is, I don't want to be fat. Do you see the difference? And the difference in the message that we're sending to the mind? So the T is for towards. Get in that tram, be in the driver's seat, and start heading towards what it is that you want. The R for me is about relationships. We cannot do anything on our own. Even if you want to go and buy a coffee down from the coffee shop, somebody's delivered the beans, somebody's ground the beans, somebody's made the coffee and added the milk and sugar and handed it to you in the shop. Somebody takes your money. No matter what we do, we are not an island. And specifically, particularly in business, if you don't reach out and ask for help, then you will flounder for a lot longer than you need to. And I guarantee you that when people know what your vision is, what your dream is, and what you're going towards, they will want to help you. So ask. And if they don't, then accept it. If they say no, or I don't want to, or I don't have time, or that's okay. But if you don't ask, you don't give people the opportunity to support you. The A for me is about acting as if. This is very powerful for the brain, where you say, I am already a confident, capable business owner, and I am moving forward with my journey, and start telling everybody this is what you're doing. Get it affirmed in your own mind, and other people knowing what it is that you're doing. And when you take on that mantle of inner confidence, where you really believe in what it is that you're doing and that your business is going to make a difference, then that will emanate from you. And people will start to see you as this confident, capable business owner and respond to you in that mature way. Now, the M for me is about meaningful. I can't run a business if it's not meaningful. Like, why do we do what we do? And my own journey was that I was seeking a purpose after I'd hit midlife. My kids were going to uni. I wanted to be a good role model for my daughters. In fact, their name is in the title of my business. The 2 M's and 2M Power are my daughters, Maris and Megan. They hate it when I tell people that. But that makes it meaningful for me, that there's a reason, there's a driver deeper than just profit. And there's a passion for me about it. So ask yourself, what is meaningful about what I'm doing? And the other thing is to make the journey memorable. Why would you do this if you're not creating new positive memories? It's not time to live in the past. It's time to move on and look to the future and create the business of your dreams, but make really meaningful memories along the way. And the last one really is to smile. The S is for smile. Because if you're happy and joyful in what you do, other people will pick up on that, and you'll enjoy each day more. Like, we have to do particular tasks anyway, so you might as well do them with a spring in your step and a smile on your face than do them feeling miserable. And the S also, I would like to stand for being stable, and that whole thing of being on a tram and on the tram lines, not going off in tangents, but staying really focused and stable, and having that inner confidence and inner belief in what it is that you want to do. So then you're tying in both the conscious and the unconscious mind. You've got your SMART goals from your goal setter and your TRAMS goals from your goal getter. And when you tie those two together along with your vision, you can't but succeed. And I look forward to hearing from any of you that are using this, that if you found it helpful. And good luck with your business moving forward.
Wow, and that was amazing. I need to come and book in one of your sessions. There was such great advice there in so many ways. I'll pick up on some of those threads in our sort of summary section. Therese, just before I get to you, I didn't mention that Adam Fazzani was on the agenda here. Adam is one of our startup founders in the 7-mile Venture Lab community. He had to withdraw a few days ago because he is simply entirely swamped with work, and that's why he's not here. But I'm sort of going to fill in for Adam and talk about mentoring after we hear from Therese, and that's a good segue into your intro, Therese. Therese Ravell is a human resources innovator. She's the founder and CEO of a business called Impact HR, per that banner behind her. Therese's philosophy is to make your people a strategic platform for success, linking beautifully back to some of the things you talked about, and about you can't do it on your own. You know, you do have to build that team. Therese can be thought of as the person who will get your team working like a well-oiled machine. She has experience in most industries and is your go-to advisor for all human resource planning and management. Welcome, Therese.
Thank you so much, Greg, and thank you, Anne. It's always amazing to hear you and to see the passion that comes out. So once again, feeling very honoured to be here with two people who share my passion as well, and hopefully going to share some interesting information with you guys. It's interesting for me because every person that we work with has a slightly different approach for how they actually support businesses. But there's so many alignments between Greg and Anne and I find it really easy. Today I'm going to use a model that we refer to as the tripod, and it is about creating stability. We all know that if we try to put something on top of just two legs, it will wobble and fall over. You add a third and the whole thing stabilizes, and then later on we can talk about the fourth. But let me start by talking about the tripod. So the tripod is, as Anne said, having that vision and those values. And part of that vision and that value is normally the product or the service, whatever you are going to put out there into the marketplace to offer. The second leg of your tripod is, of course, you as the founder and the entrepreneur. And without you and your passion, that great product will never be realized. But there's another part of realizing that, because your great passion and your experience can only take that product and service so far. The third leg of your tripod at the moment is going to be your team. So when you add those three things together, you have this beautiful stability that allows you to achieve amazing results. So as Anne said, that S in her trans is the stability in my tripod. And when we start to look at those three things together, we get to achieve our goals, and we get to set goals that are that BHAG, that beautiful, big, audacious goal that gives us something to really strive for. And it's not frightening because we're not doing it in isolation. We're doing it with a team around us. So today I wanted to take a moment and talk about ways that we as the leader, the entrepreneur in our business, the founder, can actually ensure success when we're building a team around us. And the first one is actually about thinking of the future team and thinking about yourself and your role in that future team. None of us are perfect, and it doesn't matter how strong technically you are. There's going to be somebody else who will bring a complementary skill or another skill that is needed in the business to help you be really successful. I like to think of this as there's a couple of different types of founders, and generally speaking, really broadly speaking, I find that there's two. We have a founder who has an amazing business idea, but maybe doesn't have the technical skills in that area to deliver it, and they need more technical strengths in whatever that business area is to deliver the business. The other way is you might be an amazing technical person and know the subject matter in your product inside out and back to front, but you need somebody alongside you who has got all the business skills and maybe has been through this before to help you on that journey. So regardless of which one of those two you are, as we're starting to formulate your team, the first step is knowing who you are. So do you fall into either one of those? If you're a blend and you're somewhere in the middle, what else do you need around you to actually make this work? And from the beginning, we have to be thinking about this as building the team so that it is recruited for balance and success. It is really, really easy when you meet people who share your passion to start the conversation and be so excited because they're sharing everything that you believe in, and you feed off each other to think, I found my soulmate. This is my business partner for life, and I'm going to bring them in. Before you get to that step, I'm going to ask you to just take a moment and really think not just about how great that felt for you as an individual to share that passion with somebody, but to also think about this from the business perspective. What does your business need, both now and into the future, to be really successful? And sometimes we have to be cautious of being too similar. So if we have two people who are really passionate and they're big blue sky thinkers, but there isn't the ability to actually follow the process and get the details right, we're going to end up with a lot of vision, but not so much action. If it's the other way around and we're too dissimilar, how good am I at having those conversations where I'm saying, I really love that process, but we have to speed it up because perfectionism is not going to get us to our end goal. And sometimes we've got to not cut corners, but just think about this pragmatically. And is it required to be the Rolls Royce, or do we need something at this level to get us where we're going? So we have to be aware of who we are and then be aware of our natural instinct to recruit and hire people who are very similar to us. And that's why having somebody that you can bounce those ideas off, like a mentor or a coach that you work really closely with, can be invaluable as you move forward on this journey. The second thing that I'm going to speak about is how you can engage those people. Because one of the things is, not everyone, but I was a shoestring starter. I started my business and I had a 1-year-old child and a husband who was traveling all the time, and I had to do it in a way that made financial sense, which meant that I had a shoestring budget and I had to live within that. So I couldn't afford to go out and say, well, I'm going to have a full-time marketer and I'm going to have a full-time lawyer and I'm going to have a full-time finance person. I had to work out how much I needed of each of those skills and build that skill set around me. So that might have meant that I chose to engage with experts, and you can engage an expert coach on an outsourced basis. Or it might have meant that I engaged somebody internally to work with me casually 1 day a week or permanent part-time 2 days a week. It might have meant that I looked at my network and I asked for the help and support that Anne was talking about, because most of us love being the person that somebody comes to and says, I really respect you. Can you help me out with some advice around this? So think about the ways that we can actually engage those resources and how well we can do that. I refer to this as de-hatting. We often, jokingly say, oh, I'm putting my hat on and I'm putting this hat on. And we end up by the end of the day having 7 hats on our head. And there's so much going on inside our brain that it's really hard to focus on what we really need to do. And the urgent gets overrides the important, and then the fires burning, as Anne said, are the things that suck us into where we're spending our time. So by being able to de-hat and take that responsibility and hand it to somebody else with pride and with absolute understanding that they're on the same page and they share our vision, that's a great way to be able to move our business forward rapidly, but still do it in a way that's it's really respectful of that original vision that we started. And one of the things that people say to me when I'm working with them, when I'm talking about de-hatting, is I'm afraid of the costs. And as Anne said, that inner voice can really hold us back from achieving what we have the real ability to achieve. So one of the ways that we talk about that in Impact HR is getting the balance right between the cost and the missed opportunity cost. I know that it's going to cost us X now, and if we do it this way, maybe it can cost a little bit less, or maybe it'll cost a little bit more. But the opportunity cost of not doing that could be even more to your business. So when you then think about setting up your tripod for success and stability, setting up how we think about that future team, and really from the very early stages of building your business, building that team strategically, understanding who you are by working with a coach or a mentor, by getting the balance right between similar so that you're going to gel well and work effectively together. And unfortunately, sometimes we might have somebody that we need their skills and strengths, and being confident enough to have that and bring that back into play and make sure that they're aligned. By being able to de-hat when we need to, and being able to be really honest about what happens when we can't de-hat, not because we can't physically do it, but because we're afraid of it and we're holding ourselves back with our unconscious mind. Those are all the things that I'd like you to take away from today and maybe start to think about a little bit differently. And I think that actually allows me to hand over to you, Greg, because your role within 7Mile is absolutely as an amazing mentor and coach to so many startups, and what you can do to support people, and how 7Mile plays such a critical role in helping businesses achieve all of this and more.
Well, thank you, Therese. That's a lovely segue, and thank you for those compliments. And I have so enjoyed hearing both your perspectives. It is just so relevant for startup founders to appreciate what you're saying. And what it makes me realise too is that we need to work together and run a more detailed workshop for the 7Mile community, because there's just so much wisdom in what you're saying. And well, Adam, as I said, Adam was going to talk about mentoring and how that's helped him along his journey. He's a startup founder that's only recently stepped out of a full-time job. It was a side gig for a while. He's now full-time on his journey with his startup called GoTradey. And it kind of relates back to some of the things you've both said, Anne and Therese, about this notion that you cannot do this on your own. This journey that you're on as a startup founder, or that you're considering embarking upon, you need to build a team around you. You need to have a group of people who fulfill different roles for you. And maybe it's appropriate to use the analogy, because it's the time of the year we're in the pro sport finals, right? But you think about those teams that have made it through this whole season, and they've gotten through to the last game, and they've done that for a reason, because their coach has put the right jersey on the right people. They're playing in the right position. Therese, you talked about complementary skills, and you've talked about know where you're going. So these teams that have gotten through to the finals, even if you're not a sport lover, you'd be aware of what's going on. They're absolutely a great example that everyone needs a team. Part of that team will be people who play this mentor role. Okay, so and you will probably have more than one mentor along the way, because it's very rare that one mentor can give you everything you need along your entire journey, and they'll play a different role for you. And picking a mentor or finding a mentor, it's a little bit like, Anne, I think you mentioned, this notion that you get to the point where if you approach someone the right way, I think you said, I admire what you do, and I'd love a little bit of support and guidance, is one way to sort of work out if people are prepared to give you some of their time. You definitely will need more than one mentor. I mean, I think I'm very good helping people in the earlier stages. When it gets to the point of capital raising, that sort of thing, I need to step back and allow someone who's expert in that whole field to step in and help with the capital raising processes. And I'm happy to say I do that, and we have so many wonderful people in our 7-mile community that it kind of is quite easy for me to say, hey, you know what, I'm going to introduce you to Nigel Abbott from Funsition or Peter Prokitis from Helios. They're the sort of guys who are going to help you with this whole fundraising journey. We've talked a bit about, I think both Anne and Therese, you also alluded to this, the journey that people are on as an entrepreneur. You have both traveled that journey. You're speaking not from theory, you're speaking from your first-hand experience of stepping out of your comfort zone to embark on the journey of a startup. And it's so wonderful to hear you both talk about your experiences and your learnings. You have so much to share with people, and there's been so many gems of wisdom that have come out from this very short discussion today. It's why I'm saying we need to talk about doing this more formally in workshops with it for our community. One thing about a mentor is when you find the right person, the mentor will derive tremendous satisfaction from working with you, helping you and seeing you progress. And that journey, there's a few ways to think about that journey. I like to think of it, in terms of the wonderful old Chinese proverb that 1,000-mile journey begins with the first step. You take that first step, and ideally every day you take a step. And I think you mentioned 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Sometimes you'll feel like you're stuck, and what you need to do is just work out consciously how you can get back and take another step forward. Take a step forward every day, because when you do that, you're gonna reach the mission of your journey. And people like Anne and Therese are so vital to be able to reach out and get that sort of wisdom that you two offer. It's just amazing to me. So I know that the people I mentor and coach and support, it's not always sort of formally a mentor kind of relationship necessarily, but they often will say, look, I feel I'm just totally stuck, and my phone's going crazy, and I'm not sure what to do next. So I love that term, Therese, de-hatting. What often happens for startup founders is, you said it perfectly, you keep putting another hat on another hat on another hat because you kind of feel like you've got to do everything yourself. But all that does is layer stress on stress on stress. And that is the worst thing that can happen on this journey, is that you overload yourself with stress, because you kind of literally go crazy. And you said, keep smiling. Well, when the stress builds, what do? You stop smiling. And people sense that emotion, and they sense that vibe, and it's just so negative. So I love that notion, and, de-hatting. And that was brilliant that you turned smart into tram. I mean, I'd love to hear more about that epiphany, how that happened. But you've explained it perfectly, and that whole notion that subconscious mind can be working very diligently to hold you back, to stop you taking the steps you need to take because you're heading into unknown territory. Consciously, you need to do it, but subconsciously, your mind is saying, no, don't go there, don't go there. So these are all so important for people to understand these philosophies and approaches. In terms of your mentor, I think on this journey, you need to be always open to meet new people, have conversations, because they are the times when you're going to find a connection with someone, and you'll have a sense that that person has a tremendous amount to offer you, potentially as a mentor. So enjoy that journey. take that step every day. Take every meeting you can. Smile. Let people know you have a mission and a vision that you're passionate about. And I think you will find that you'll start to build a team. You know, you'll build people who say, hey, you know what? I love what you're doing. Can I help you with marketing, or can I help you with social media, or can I help you with, you know, doing the financial stuff or whatever? You'll have a team of supporters who are on their sideline cheering you on, people who are willing to make introductions, make connections, who will also share your story with other people because they've picked up on your passion. And it's just so important to be doing that. Be open about building that team. I tell you, there's a startup founder in our network, a guy from Alex Miles from Mcewen. He actually moved himself to New York City. He has a startup called Sports High. Alex has been absolutely, I think, brilliant best practice about sharing his progress with everyone in his network. It's not complex, but he does it brilliantly. Since about month 3 of his startup, he's now 3 years in, he has done a monthly update. Now, in the early days, you know, there wasn't necessarily a whole lot going on, but in those updates, he would sort of say, look, right now I'm stuck with something. If anyone can help me, you know, that sort of stuff came out in these updates. If anyone wants to sort of connect with me and ask me to send examples, I'll share those with you. Alex is always very happy to support other startup founders. He's been doing this for about 3 years. Yeah. That is a brilliant way to keep people engaged while you're on your journey, while you're, you know, diligently taking a step every day on this 1,000-mile journey you're on. So now, I think that's probably all I can say on that now.
We have a question that come through from David Jacobs that I might just read out, which is, it's great to have a team with or behind you, but when you're in startup bootstrap mode, how do you fund this? So
yeah. Well, you all could answer that because you've experienced this. You've lived this journey. You know what it's like.
Absolutely. As I said, for me, very much the first step of working out what I need to fund was thinking about the amount of time that certain tasks were taking and how much opportunity cost that was stealing from me. So if it was taking me, you know, a day to do admin, if I hired somebody for 1 day to do admin and I spent 2 weeks or 3 weeks training them, and then I got that day back, how much money could I actually make in that day? So really looking at it very financially, what's my short-term impact, and then what's my long-term from there? Likewise with marketing, you know, the idea that I can't afford marketing is one of those things that I often challenge people on, because I totally get I can't market at the moment because I'm so overwhelmed. There's too much work coming at me already. And I need to hire more people to deliver the product, the service, the whatever it is. But if you're not at that stage and you're actually behind because you don't have people knocking your door down, then it's actually, what else can I do differently so I can afford to market a little bit more? Or what are the freer forms of marketing that I can do? And who do I know who knows that stuff? So there's lots of things that we talk about with founders to try to help them get to that point.
Yeah, I'd say, and I'll just jump in just very quickly, David. I know for many startup founders, you're absolutely living a life of poverty, right? So I get it that you're starting out and you literally have no money. I can honestly say that a great starting point is, and I don't know where you live in Sydney, find your local version of the 7-Mile Venture Lab. Because we are a community who are working together around helping people, entrepreneurs in our Northern Beaches area, get going with their startup. And there are ways you can do things that don't cost money. So I think from my side, answering that question, David, is go find your 7-Mile Venture Lab. if you live on the Northern Beaches, come find us because we exist to help you. And there's so many wonderful people in our community, like Anne and Therese, for example. Anne, you were going to say.
Yeah, look, in the beginning for me, I did contra deals. So I had someone help me with my marketing and I coached her in return. And that's a really good way to, you don't feel that you're owing anyone anything then. It feels fair and you're not having to charge. And then the other thing that I did was I would get people on Fiverr or Upwork to do projects, and it's like $5 an hour to get things done. You're not having to employ someone full time and take on, holiday pay and superannuation and all those things that we often think are expensive when we do have a team. But the way that the gig economy that we live in now, it's actually very inexpensive. And what you might find is that when someone does one or two tasks for you, that they then become your go-to person and they actually do get to know your business and your style of working. And I found that to be super helpful, and I haven't spent a lot of money. And what Therese said, that what I have spent, what would take me a whole day to do, I'm much better spending a whole day coaching because I can bring more money in. But both of those things, Upwork, Fiverr, or doing contra deals with other people are great when you're in the early stages.
Yeah, very good point. I mean, Fiverr is a helpful resource in ways. I've found Upwork to be very similarly successful, and so yes, they're both great. They're all great points. So yeah, get into your local community, look around the gig economy resources like Fiverr, like Upwork to get things done, and. I'd say there's things you can do personally that don't necessarily take a whole lot of time, like, writing, publishing stuff on Medium and in your blog and various other things to help get the word out is another way to do that. We're counting down to 3 minutes. I don't know if there's any other particular questions. I can't see it on my screen here.
No, I don't have any other questions, but if anyone out there does have any questions they'd like to shoot through or anything they'd like to add into the chat, please feel free to do that.
Yeah, and so also in terms of tracking, Anne McKeown, Therese Ravell, Greg Twemlow, you can obviously go to LinkedIn, find us. I've put some information on our 7Mile website, which is 7mile.org.au under events. Click the events tab and you'll see today's event. You'll see Anne and Therese's name there. Click the link, get in touch with us. I think it's been such a pleasure to hear Anne and Therese today. Just so much wisdom there. It's absolutely wonderful. Thank you very, very much for sharing those pearls of wisdom today. Also, just once again, congrats, Maxine, Sharon, Spark Festival. You are amazing, and this is an incredible event every October, so it's wonderful.
I just say, I'd just like to say if there's anyone listening that is struggling and feeling stuck and needs some help, I give my first session for free. And just to help you get on track. And if I can't help you, hopefully I can point you in the right direction of someone that can, maybe someone else within 7Mile, because I know how challenging it can be to get started. And sometimes we just need someone to help us reframe where we're at. So I'd like to offer that to anyone that's listening.
Wonderful, Anne. Thank you. Therese, any final remarks?
We do the same thing for all of our startups. If you are thinking about hiring people or you have people in your team and you're not quite sure whether you've done it right, give us a call. We're here to help. A lot of the time there's some really simple things that can just take the stress off. And as Greg said, when we're stressed, we can't enjoy the passion that we originally had when we started our business. So we're here to help. Please feel free to reach out.
Wonderful.
Have a great day.
Everybody, yeah, I'm sitting here in Luna Media Studios in Mcewen. We're about to do some video pitch recording with our startup founders. So we've got a bunch of startup founders who are have agreed that they're at the point where they need to get in front of the camera. They've got their script ready, and once we click off here, we'll be going into recording mode with our startup founders, which is an awful lot of fun. So once again, thank you so much, Anne, Therese, and Spark Festival. Have a great day, everyone.
Thank you, guys. Great to be part of it, and thanks for running it all, Greg. Really appreciate it. Thank you.